Hi everyone, it's Tammy with Frou-frou Studio, and welcome to the very first week of the hashtag Nuttin' But Neutrals challenge. And I'm glad that you are with me today, and I hope that you are going to enjoy this challenge. I'm trying to find my little prompt card where I wrote the hashtag on there, but I didn't get that out. But it's hashtag Nuttin', Nuttin, but neutrals, and it's all small letters. So if you search that on Instagram, then you will be able to see my makes plus everyone else that is going to participate in the challenge. And I hope that there will be lots of participants so that I can see all your beautiful makes and we can have some fun together. So basically, because where I came up with this is because I have been doing color challenges for the last about a year and a half. I wanted to kind of switch that up and take the color factor out of it and work more on texturing and layering and things that you can do to create interest that don't involve color. And so when I think about these challenges and you know what I want to do is to grow myself as an artist, is I want to challenge myself to do different things and not always do the same thing over and over. So, you know, when they pop into my mind, then, you know, I want to share them. And there's really no rules for how to do this. The only thing that I'm going to give you every week is I'm going to give you the base to use for your particularly or your particular ephemera make, and then you're free to do pretty much whatever you want to, as long as you are using neutral colors and that you're using some kind of texture and you're using layers to create whatever ephemera that we're making. So, this week I have chosen to use, or the base was a tag, which I told you guys previously. And it can be any kind of tag. And although this one has these red numbers, I am going to be covering that up so that it keeps within our neutral theme. And as prep work, because it takes so long to dry, I went ahead and used texture paste, and I actually did a couple of them just so I'm going to always try to give you 2 examples of everything. One, you know, if you have this, you do this, and if you don't have this, this is an alternative. So this one is a pre-printed inventory tag that I had in my stash. This one I made out of a manila file folder, and I just made it the same size, cut it out, and punched a hole in the top and put a hole reinforcer on it. If you don't have these tags and you want to create your own, they are 3 1/4 by 6 1/4. So, so you could do 3 by 6 if you wanted to, and it wouldn't be that much different. You can make it bigger if you wanted. You can make it smaller, but I would suggest this size or bigger. Because when you go to all the trouble of putting the texture in the layers and all the things that we're going to be doing to these bases, you want them to be big enough to be a showstopper in your journal. You don't want it to be just a little tag that's going to stick down into a pocket and be forgotten. You want it to be something that's going to draw attention. Where, for example, if I do these two tags, I may actually make this tag a tuck. Or I may just clip it on a page instead of putting it in the pocket. Or I may use it on a journal cover, depending on what I'm doing. And that's going to be a lot easier to do if it's bigger size than if it's, one of the smallers, like a number, I think these are called number 8s. So if it was like a number 6, which is going to be more like this size, it's not going to be big enough to really be a showstopper in your journal. So, like I said, I used Tim Holtz texture paste and just went through my stencil. And because my stencil had ink on it, that's why it kind of has this gray color to it. Same with this one, with the one I made out of file folder. If you do not have Tim Holtz texture paste, there's lots of other brands of texture paste. If you don't have those, you can make your own. A couple of ways that I know that you can make this, and I have done it before and used it. You can use cornstarch with a little bit of white glue and water. And you can also use plaster of Paris. Again, with a little bit of white glue and water. Just mix it up till you get, kind of that toothpaste kind of consistency. You can also use wall spackling that you use to fix your walls when you have holes in them. That works very well. I like the one that goes on pink and then it dries white. I like the consistency of that one, and I also like the fact that it changes color and you can tell when it's completely dry. If you used any of those, I would suggest that you let them air dry, especially if you're using the spackling for the wall, or if you're using Tim Holtz texture paste, because if you put heat to those before they dry, they're going to bubble. Now, if you want that look, then by all means do it, but you're going to have little bubble effects in your texture paste. Otherwise, you want to do it so that it'll air dry. And that's why I did these ahead of time, so that they would air dry. So, okay, I'm not going to do this one today. I just wanted to show you two different options. I am going to do this one with the polka dots. Okay, how am I going to create my, continue to create my texture? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to decide what final color I want these polka dots. I'm going to be working with a palette. Remember, our 4 colors that, we can work with, and then go lighter, darker, mix them together, whatever. Black, white, gray, and brown. Okay? And then, you're going to get your tans, your beiges, your more charcoal grays, your different colors and tones, values, I think is the word I'm looking for, by mixing white in with those or mixing black in with those. Those are going to give you all of the neutral colors that you need for this challenge. Okay? So, for this particular one, I want browns and grays. I like brown and gray together. I think it looks really sharp. And so that's what I'm going to be working with. So I want to continue with this background, and I want it to be brown and gray. How am I going to achieve that? Well, I went through my scraps, and I have this paper, which has got kind of both. And then I also pulled out some other elements. I've got some book page, and I don't need that right now. I've got some faux coffee dyed paper, And then I've got a couple of other little scraps that have those colors. And I have this scrap, which is Amy's from Crafty Cat. Alaskan Wallpaper is the kit that's from. And see, it's got a really good mixture of kind of a gray and brown. So, first though, I want to address the polka dots. What do I want to do with the polka dots? Well, I think because a lot of these are mainly gray, I want the polka dots to be brown or some shade of brown. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out, what do I want to use? Gather twigs. I think gather twigs. Oh, and I have a couple of, I have an alcohol marker, which is chocolate, and I have my ground espresso distress crayon for browns. I need a brush. I think I want the little one. Sorry for my reach there, so that I can control it better. Give it a rub here and make sure I get as much of the previous color off. It was kind of a green color, it looks like. I do reuse or use these. These are for oxides only. You should not use an oxide brush for in your inks. You shouldn't mix them together, but I use these just for the oxides. And I just make sure it's kind of clean before I go into my next color. Yeah, I think that's going to be the color I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to really lightly start going over these raised dots. And I'm going to change them to more brown. And I think up at the top, I'm going to use this color, and then I think I'm going to go kind of into a darker color as I get toward the bottom. But yeah, I'm just going to really lightly, and I'm sorry I'm flying through this, but I want to make sure that we get everything in. And as always, if you have any questions about anything, just put them in the comment section, and I'll be glad to answer them for you. All right, now let's go to something a little bit darker. Let's do ground espresso, since we're going to be using that crayon, I think. That's another thing. If you wanted to do this same process, you could do it using a crayon instead of using the oxides. Okay, and then when I get that to the level that I want it, and I even think I'm going to go one darker and use scorched timber right at the very bottom. And I might go a little lighter up here. So if I go get that really dark up there. Vintage photo up here. I don't know if it'll, that one will be a little lighter. Okay, now it looks like we have a big hot mess. That's okay. Now what I want to do is I want to take water in my little spray bottle, and I'm just going to kind of slowly spray. And can you see what's happening? Can you see that that's kind of turning gray? And then I'm going to dab it. With my little dried baby wipe. This baby wipe does not have any moisture left in it. Alright, and then I'm gonna hit that with the heat gun for a sec. Now, because this texture paste is already dry, as long as I don't hold it too close, it should be fine. And of course, I'm making my tag grungy because, you know, that's the way I roll. But if you don't want grunge, you can obviously make this a whole lot cleaner. Always lift up your tag off your table when you're drying it so the heat passes through your substrate. And it'll dry much quicker. And I'm sorry if what I'm saying seems to some of you that have been making journals so simple and beginner level, but I do have some new subbies, and I want to be sure that everybody understands what I'm doing. So and for those of you that have been making journals for a while, maybe I do something a little bit different and you'll see a different technique that you haven't seen before. I doubt it, but I might surprise you. Okay, I think that's dry enough for us to move on. And as Tim says, Tim Holtz, paper has no memory. So if you get wrinkles, it's fine, because you're going to be able to flatten it back out and it'll be just fine, especially when it cools off. So don't worry about it rolling up or all that, because it's going to work itself out. Okay? Alright, so this is my nice grungy base. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide what I want to use, some of these scraps, or how I want to lay this out so that we have some more character in our piece. And I'm thinking I might want some of this grungy wallpaper. Maybe like that. And then I definitely want to use some of this. I'm trying not to cover all of my little tags there, but at the same time, I want to be sure that I've got some good contrast going on and some layers. The other thing that I'm going to be using, this is my focal point. is this little portrait. And he's going to set on there. But I'm also using a die cut, which is another good way of adding some layers and texture to your piece. And I want to color this as well. So let's do that first so I can kind of decide. Now, the best thing to do would be to color your paper before you die cut this. But I got this in a Happy Mail and it came already cut out. And so I'm working with it as it is. Excuse me just a second. I forgot to get my gray stamp pad out. Alright, so for this one, I am using hickory smoke. And I'm going to just rub over this. To make it gray. And I'm going to go ahead and do the whole thing, even though I'm only going to use half the clock. And that way, when I go to use the other half, it's already been colored. I won't have to repeat the process. Okay, so there is that. And then I'm going to do the two little hands. Here's one. Where'd my other one go? There it is. Did you all watch Tim's live over the weekend? He's got some really cool stuff for us journalers coming out. I actually have already placed my order, and it should be here today. I'm excited. It's the one, well, I'll say one, but actually 2 times a year that I splurge is when he comes out with the new stuff this time of year, and when he comes out with his new Christmas stuff. But yeah, I'm really excited about this release. It's got a lot of really good journaling stuff in it. I'm glad he's starting to make more stuff that can be used for journaling. Okay, ink around him. So now, oh, and I want to change his suit to brown. That's why I have the alcohol marker. So what I'm going to do is basically just give him a paint job here. Sorry about the squeaking. You can also do this with the crayons. When you do it with the crayons, you want to put the crayon on and then smear it with a damp finger. And these are just Hobby Lobby brand alcohol markers. I don't know how they compare with the Copics or anything because I don't have those. So I can't tell you. I can tell you these work fine for my needs. And they often are on sale at Hobby Lobby for half off. So I've had them on a couple years and they're still good. I don't use them very often, not as often as I should. If you get any of that streaky, which you probably see once you let it dry, you can go back in and go over those again, and it will take those out. I'm not going to worry about doing that right now. Just going to set him over to the side now that he's got his brown jacket on. Alright, so back to our tags. So, if I cut this, oops, I want it to be this way, I think. And I want the 6 and the 12. So I want to cut it kind of like that because it's going to set like this, more or less. And then my hands will sit on here like that. I'm just trying to get an idea of and then my guy here is gonna sit down here. So yeah, that's the area that I need to focus on with papers. So if I put and of course everything's gonna start moving around now that I want it to be still. I think I want more gray. So I think we're gonna put the gray down the side there. And then I have a couple of little labels. I'm going to put one of them up here to take care of that rest of that little red that's sticking out. And then I want to put one on him. Yeah, something like that. maybe I want to put that one underneath and then that one on top. Or do I want the 35? No, that one's the same shape. Okay, so I think something like that's what I want. And I've decided this over here is too muddy. So I think what I'm going to do there is, I think I'm going to take a little bit of another crayon. Hold on. I'm going to take picket pens, which is white, and I'm just going to kind of do this. I'm going to take my finger rub over it. Wipe it off my table here, or I'll have it smeared all over everything. All right, now let's put this on here. Okay, and I am going to use art glitter glue for that because of the texture. Ooh, I like the back side of that too. But no, I like that side better. So we're gonna go right up the edge. Like so. All right, now we're gonna put down these. So I'm gonna put this one down first. And then I'm going to put the 88 down. Cut that a little straighter. And these little grungy things are by Tracy Fox. Can't decide which way's the right way on these. I think it's that way. Okay, and then we're going to put our clock on. Again, art glitter glue, just so I can get around these little borders, which I'm not doing very well, staying on the line here. So how is everybody? I don't think I even asked you. Hope you have had a good start to your week. I have. Got all my little duties done last week that I had to do. It's going to be beautiful in the 80s all week this week. Not a lot of rain in the forecast, so I'm looking forward to that. Have to trim that little part that's hanging off just a little bit. You can see where that has stained the back of my tag, and that's okay because I'm gonna, even though it's got a really cool back, I'm gonna cover it anyway because I'm gonna use a brad to attach my hands, and the back of the brad will be through the back of the card, so the tag, so I want to be sure, and that needs to be about right there, I think. No, probably needs to go up a little. It should be even with the 3 and the 12 and the 6, right? Don't you think? Yep, about right there. Alright, so let me get my poke tool. I have to be careful because I poked right through my finger the other day with it. It did not feel good. I was in a hurry and I didn't get it out of the way. Okay, where'd my brad go? There it is. So my brad's gonna go in there. Then, like I said, I'll cover the back. I'll put a little piece of masking tape or washi tape or something on the brad and then cover the back. And actually I may not, because it might, I'm gonna wait. That's a game time decision, because if it's gonna be glued down to the page, it doesn't matter that it has, I'll put some tape on it, but it won't matter if it has a back on it or not. Okay, so there's that. And then we have our little guy. Yeah, I probably want to. What you can do, it's not necessary, but once you get done putting all your coats on this, you can put some matte gel medium on it. And that kind of evens it out a little bit more. You can also take some sanding paper if you want to bring some of the background through. Okay. Give that a second to dry. There we go. he'll go right here. Like that. And then I may put the label over here. I think I will. So we'll put him down with art glitter glue. Okay, and then I'm gonna, this is also a Tracy Fox label. Now, if this were a woman in the, oops, it's popping up. Come on, glue down for me. May have to use some beacon glue on that. Trim off the shoulders. I think the issue is everything is still a little damp. Oops, I didn't mean to glue my hand there behind his head. I have to put a little bit more gray on there to fix that. There we go. All right, let's ink around this. I forgot what I was saying now. Oh, if I had chose a woman for this, I probably would take a piece of lace or something like that and put under this label before I put it down, because in my opinion, even though I love clocks and watches, they tend to be more masculine, and that would just be a way to soften it up a little more. You can still use lace with men. As a matter of fact, I love that look when you take something that's like a clock, you know, that is more mechanical and what I consider hard, you know, because of the mechanics and the stuff in it, in the materials that they're made out of, and match them up. Same with cogs and gears and things like that. And then match that up with something that comes, that is softer, like a lace or a fabric or something like that. I love that kind of mixture together. So, yeah. I think I'm going to have to put some beacon glue on his head. It keeps wanting to pop up, but maybe when everything dries, It'll be all right. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to distress around the whole piece, and I'm going to use gathered twigs, I believe. If that's not dark enough, I'm going to come back. Yeah, I think that's going to be dark enough. I was starting to say I'll come back with scorched timber. Of course, I may do that anyway, right on the very edge. Let me try putting some. I'm glad it didn't stick though, because it allowed me to pull those hands out of there without, or that hand out of there without an issue. So some things are good when they don't work right. Okay, complete your thought. Alright, so the only other thing I want to do, I believe, is add a couple of stamps. And that is going to help just to kind of unify everything together and make it look more cohesive as far as putting the piece entirely together. Do I want a piece of this music? I really like the brown in this, but I don't know exactly where I would put it. That's the hardest part of doing this, guys, is deciding what you want to do. I could take his shoulder out of the situation. That's the one thing about the portraits too, is because of the way they're made, is incorporating them in without them looking funny. Like you've cut them off at the shoulder. That's not the look that you want. You don't want it to look like you cut something out of the magazine and stuck it down on the page. I guess is what I'm trying to say. You want it to have different layers, but you want those layers to look like they're blended and not that you just, you know, were playing with some scissors and some glue. And that's, you know, you have to practice that, and you have to get comfortable with what you're working with and the looks that you want to achieve. And that's part of why we do these challenges, and that's why we experiment with different techniques and things so that we can achieve that. And hopefully when we get finished, we don't have something that looks like we just took a magazine and cut the pictures out and stuck them on a piece of paper. That's our goal, anyway. Alright, so stamp. kind of stamp do I want? Let's see. Can I get some butterflies in there? That would look kind of cool. I think I can. I don't want the whole thing. And I'm gonna try. We're gonna see. We may mess up, but if we mess up, then we'll just figure out something else. I'm going to do these in archival ink potting soil because I don't want them to be bam in your face. I want them, sorry about that, I want them to be, oh look, there's butterflies after you've looked at it for a while. Not, oh look, there's a tag with butterflies on it. Oh look, there's man. Does that make sense? It's the best way I know to describe it. There we go. I like it. I like it. All right, now let's put something up here, and I think we'll be good. And I don't even know how long I've been talking. I hope it's not too terribly long. And I think I want a number. Do I want a number? Or no, maybe some letters. Let me see here. Oh, maybe, I don't think I can get a, I gotta, whatever I do, it's gotta be fairly small. Because I've got some dots right there and it won't stamp real well on those, I'm sure. So let's see what we have here. Department 177. I wonder if I can get that on there. Now this one I am going to do in black simply because these other letters are in black. And I don't want it to look totally weird. Alright, and I'm not sure it's going to come out totally clear anyway. And I'm not really worried if it doesn't all come out. I'm just trying to get something in that spot. Oh, it did. Great. Alright, and then I think I need something black right down here. And again, I want something small, but or right here across the label because I don't have any black down here. And I feel like I need one more black element. So, how about Let's do that. I think. Oh, you know what? There is in my this stamp that has words, there's notes, the word notes. Oh, I think it may be too big. Oh, I wish Vintage would fit there. I think it's too big too. Yeah, that's too big. See this notes. These are creative expressions. And I think it's I mean, if you look up creative expressions, you'll see it. But I think it's one of the Sampool. It's either Sampool or Tailor-Made Journals. That's the only two that I buy from them. Perfect. Okay, so the only other thing I would do is find some kind of topper, and I have some brown, it's kind of like a brown and beige fabric. Oh, and I also have this gray that I just used, and it's right here. So maybe I'll put this through there. And just kind of, all right, where'd my other end go? Oh my goodness. If I have to speed part of this up, like I said, I'm not sure how long I've been talking. Probably close to an hour, maybe a little bit over. And if I have to speed some of it up, I will, to make it so it's not so unbearable to watch. All right, so there we go. There's our tag, and like I said, that's not dry. I will press it under my mat or something, and it will flatten out once it dries completely. So I hope you guys like that, and I hope that you're going to join in with me. And again, if you don't understand something about the challenge or you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you have. Next week, if you want to be searching through your stash and deciding what you want to use, we're going to be working with an envelope. It can be any size envelope that you want. I'm going to use just a standard, nothing special letter size envelope, which is one of the ones that's a little bit, it's not a business envelope. It's the ones that are actually for letters that are about as wide as this, and, you know, maybe a little bit wider. So, yeah. that's what I'm going to use. And again, thanks for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I will see you guys back for tomorrow. I'll see you back tomorrow for the No Digitals Allowed series. Until then, everybody have a great evening. Bye.